What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today in this video we are going to be making the part 2 of the fishing job. Sorry if some of the clips are kind of like weird. I ended up recording this as one part and then had to split it up into two. Sorry if they're kind of weird. Make sure you guys join my Discord, join the daily streams, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. And then I forgot to say, in this video we will be setting up the leaderboard system and all that, so yeah, enjoy the video. All right, so the first thing we're going to write here is the import statement. So we're going to do this first so we can keep track of all the data and have it all, the database and everything set up and ready to go for when we build the rest of the script. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do create table, and I'm going to use IntelliSense here because you should be using it too because it is very nice to do. This stuff is also very self-explanatory too. It's just SQL. You should probably watch an SQL tutorial if you want to continue doing framework-based stuff, because most frameworks need a SQL table, and you should know a little bit about it, especially if you run your own server. So then all the content of the table are going to go inside these brackets, and it's going to end with a semicolon. So the first thing we're going to hold is the citizen underscore ID, and this is going to be a varchar. And it's going to hold 255. It's 255 characters. That's what Qbox and QB-Core does for theirs. So that's what I usually do for mine, not null, because we don't want this to be null. Next one is going to be rep. So this is rep, and then it's going to be a float because we're going to be doing multiplication based on multiple factors. So we should just keep it as a float, not null. It's going to default to 0. Next thing we're going to do is the fish caught. So we're going to do fish underscore caught. Cough, that says cough. CAUGHT, caught. And it's going to be an int because you can't catch half a fish. I mean, you could, I guess, but not null. Default 0. Next we're going to do is score. And that's going to be a float. And it's going to be not null. Default to 0. And we're going to need our key. So we're going to need another comma. We're going to need primary key is going to be our citizen ID. Just for this. I did zoom in my code a little bit so you guys can read it easier. So that's there for you if you need it. And I'm going to grab this from my notes here. It's going to be an insert into the table itself so we can have some example data. So that's there. So we just need to copy this and head into Heidi or whatever you're using to see into your database and paste this in and run this query. And if we refresh and go down to tw.fishing, tw_fishing, look at the data, you can see our example data is in there. The next thing we need to do is we're going to actually set up the context menu. So we're going to do a global function here. And it's going to do create. Actually, what did I call it in here? I'm trying to match with what I have in my code. So it's build. So it's build manager context. So we're going to call this in here. Build manager context. All right, so first thing we're going to do is actually build the context itself. And we actually, we'll just go down the code like I said. So we're going to do local fishing data equals lib.callback.await. And we're going to trigger the callback tw-fishing server.getPlayer fishing data, and we're going to do false for no delay because we're not triggering it again. So we're just going to keep that there for now as we work our way down. Actually, let's just set up that callback now so it's not very confusing. I don't want it to be too confusing. So then this is going to lead us on a whole thing of setting up our server. So we'll probably get the server almost completely done and set up here. So we're going to do lib.callback.register. There we go. And we're going to take that same name we set up here, and we're going to paste that into here. There we go. And then it's going to be followed by a function and a source, which we won't really need to use at all. So we're going to variabilize the source equals source. I think we actually do end up having to use it. So first off, we're going to get the phishing data from the database. So we're going to do local phishing data equals my SQL dot single dot await. And we're going to do select everything. That's what the star means. Select everything from our table, which is TW underscore phishing, where citizen, oh my gosh, citizen underscore ID equals question mark, and then we'll fill in the variable on the next line. Here is that, and then we actually are going to do a function that I set up in my rep video. If you guys haven't watched that, go and watch that. We're going to get player CID, but it can work with Qbox or QB-Core. So we're gonna do local function, and we're gonna do get players CID, and we're gonna pass through source. So local CID equals nil. We can actually just do an empty string because it's going to do a string anyways. Do if config or for if config dot framework equals QBX, then we'll do local player equals exports dot QBX underscore core underscore regular core get player. We're going to get player from source. And then CID is going to be equal to player data citizen ID. So next thing we're going to do is else if config framework equals QB. Then we're going to do something somewhat similar. We're going to do local QB equals exports QB QB dash core, and then we're going to do get core object, and we're going to do local player equals QB dot functions dot get player src. Oops, and then CID is going to be equal to player data dot citizen ID. Voila. And then we are going to, at the end of this if statement, we are going to return CID. So we are going to call this function inside of here, and we're going to pass it to source. And I forgot a comma. So there we go. That will be that function for getting the player's citizen ID. There we go. So, but what if phishing data, what if they don't have an entry? So that's where we're going to add this. If phishing data, then, so it's pretty much if it's not returning nil, we're going to just return phishing data. But if it is nil, else, we're going to have to create an entry for phishing data. So we're going to do my SQL like normal, and we're going to do, this time, we're going to do an insert dot awaits like normal, and we're going to do insert into TW underscore phishing. So sometimes I've noticed sometimes it works with the backticks and sometimes it works without it. So I kind of just do what works, and in this instance without it worked. I don't know anyone that's good with MySQL with like Oxlib and stuff. Just let me know in the comments, but that would be nice so I know. Phishing, we're going to insert citizen ID, and we're going to set, and we're going to do values, and we're going to do, it's going to be one question mark inside here because we're only inserting one value, and it's going to be the same thing here. We're just going to insert CID, which is just get player CID with where am I looking? Here. And there we go. That is how you are going to enter data into it. And I just realized my code never worked on my testing script because I never tested it because I just inserted the data myself. So next, the other thing we're going to do after this is we're just going to call this fishing data again, fishing data 2, and we're going to return this. There we go. Which I think we could do that differently with a callback, but it's fine. And we're going to return fishing data 2. Just to make it more clear, we'll just do another query and send it back again. So that is that variable set up. So next we're going to go back to creating the context menu. So we're going to do local function get rep. So I wanted to turn these into functions so it was a little more clear that you're actually able and allowed to do this. So we're going to do return fishing data.rep. It's kind of pointless to do it like this, but you can definitely do this. And sometimes I like to do this. Get rep, and we're going to get score, and this is just going to be score. So the next thing we're going to do set up is actually the context menu itself. So it's going to be lib. I'm just going to put context, and I'm just going to have it autofill like this. So this is going to be fishing. The ID is going to be fishing master _ main. Title is going to be fishmonger. And we can get rid of that. And we are going to set up some events. Oh, actually, that's wrong. We need that metadata. We don't need the onSelect. We are just going to then set description not needed. We are going to set up a icon equals, and it's going to be this user icon I have here. I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. A lot of this context menu stuff is just going to get copied over because it's a lot of just repetitive stuff. So to be fair, I'm just going to copy this entire context menu over, and we'll just keep going down the list of things we need to do. But to save time on the video and to save from confusion, we're just going to copy it over. So once we so this is creating the menu. So we got all this code here. We need to show that menu. So we're going to do lib.showContext. And we need to put that ID in here. So we need this one. We're going to show this ID here. So now we're going to work down from the option from bottom to top. So let's just restart it here. So if I speak with him, we get an error. What's our error here? Oh, global color palette. So that's another problem. I forgot. I do set a color palette config in every script I do. So go ahead and grab that from the repo. It's just leading to a bunch of hexes. So I can reuse colors without having to type the hex every single time. I just put the color I want. And all I have to do is change one variable or one number in the config, and every orange will change. So let me interact with him, and you see it pops up. So reputation 0 is 0, and if I go into the config where my name is here, rep, if I change it to 50, we'll change score to 10. And I go in here and see it's like that, and there we go. So that is that working. And then let's test let's remove myself from here. Let's delete this row. And then if I open it and then go into here, it should create a new entry for me. See, it created a new entry for me. So that is that. So next thing let's do the fishing shop next. So it's going to be the same thing. Sorry guys, I just don't want this tutorial to be a context menu nightmare. So next we're going to create a new function here. We're going to do local function, and it's going to be called build shop context. So here we're going to pass through the rep. So we're going to go down back into here actually, and I'm going to show you here we're passing this build shop context through when this button gets selected, and we're passing through the rep, which is just this function returning our rep. And the reason we're doing that is because I'm going to copy it over again. Sorry guys, it's just the same thing as build context menu. The reason why we're doing that is because I'm going to delete this out so we can come back and type it later. The reason we want to pass through the rep is because that's how we're actually picking if we're able to buy that rod or not. So for example here, we can only buy this rod if our rep is over 30. So if I refresh, or if I reinsure it, go to shop, see I can buy this one. But when I put my rep in here to say 31, and then come back, see I can't buy that one now for some reason. I can't buy that one for some reason. If rep is less than or equal to 30. So now I just realized that that is actually backwards. This needs to be true, and this needs to be false. True, false. So what was happening was it was saying if our rep is less than 30, then to disable it. Wait, hold on. Wait. If rep is greater than or equal to 30, which it shouldn't be equal then. I was wrong. It wasn't backwards. True. Let's remove the equals then. False. True. Okay, so I found out what's wrong. It won't let you do a function here. I thought it would let you do a function here, but I guess not. So you guys we get to watch me build a function. So we're gonna do local function can by rod, and it's just going to be min rep, and we're gonna do if rep is greater than min rep, then return true, or return false because it's asking, else true, and return. So we should be able to just put this here. If we do can by rod and we pass through 30, it should work here. There we go. So I don't understand. I don't like how that works, but I can't do a function inside of there. But it is what it is. We put that there, and our max rep was 75. So we just throw 75 in here. So there we go. So that is the shop setup. So I know I kind of skipped through these, but the next one we are actually going to go through together because this one is a little bit different when we're setting up. So local function build leaderboard context. And we are going to call that function here, which we're already calling it, which is good. So we're going to do local top options equals a table. And then we're going to do local top 5 is going to equal to lib.callback. Callback.await, and it's going to be a callback we are going to create to get the top 5 fishers. So this one is where we're going to do a lot of we're going to do some offline getting of players so you can always see who the top player is. So this script was going to support ESX, but it's not anymore because I don't have an ESX server, so I don't know how they store information. So, and I don't want to have to dig through it. So, yeah, their docs are kind of confusing sometimes. So, yeah, we're just going to not deal with that. So, we're going to do local function, and we're going to get player by CID, and it's just going to be equals CID. So, we're going to actually get the player themselves. So, we're going to actually, what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this because all we're changing is the stuff inside the if statement. So it's easy enough for QBX because all we have to do is return QBX underscore core. No, oops. Exports dot QBX underscore core. And it's going to be a colon. And it's going to be get player by citizen ID. We're going to pass through the CID. So that will return that. What we're going to do in QB is a little bit different. So QB, we already have our QB. So we're just going to change this, return, and we're going to do QB dot functions dot get player by citizen ID, and we're going to pass through the CID. So it's, you don't really know why I did that function yet, but you'll know in 1 second. So next thing we need to do is get the top fishers. So we are going to do let's just copy this over. And let's delete all this. We're going to get top fishers. So we're going to get the top 5 fishers. So we're going to do local fishers equals mysql.query.await. And we're going to do select star from TW fishing we're going to order by rep because we want to get the top 5. Descript limit 5. And we are not going to need anything else yet. All right, so that will get the top 5 fishers, and we are going to return fishers. There we go. So that is top 5. We need to grab this. This function isn't used yet. I don't know why I did that. Sorry, but we're not using it yet. That's my bad. And we're going to go back to the context, and we are going to continue building the leaderboard menu. So that's the wrong file. So here we are. So we are going to next do if top 5. So we need to make sure the length of top 5 is greater than 0. Then we are going to loop through the top 5 list set up in Fisher, in iPairs, top 5. Do. So we are going to get the player name. So we're going to do local player name equals lib.callback.await, and then we're going to do another callback. So let's set up this next callback we need to set up. So we're going to copy this over, and we're going to delete the meat, and we're going to do get player name. So we already have the player citizen ID, so that's kind of why we did what we did. Why we did this function here. So we have the sit ID because we're just going to pass it through when we call this callback on our client. So we're going to do local player equals get player by CID, and we're going to pass through CID. So this is actually the player that's going to return a active player if they're active on the server. But what if they're not on the server? So we're going to do if player then. So the reason why you do this check first is to make sure their player's not online. So because you don't want to have to loop through the entire player database if you don't need to. So we're going to make sure the player is online first. So we are going to return player.playerdata.char info dot first name dot. We're going to put a space. Oh, that's not a space. And we're going to do the same thing, but instead of first name, we're going to do last name. So that will return that. So else, if they're not online, I already did else. Oops. Else, this is where it gets a little iffy because now we have to loop through all of the player base. So we're going to do local player data equals mysql dot single dot query. So this should work for, oh my gosh, this should work for both QBX and QB-Core. Just want to see how long we've been going for. So yeah, this should work for both. So let's do select. We need to get char info from players where citizen ID equals question mark, And we're going to fill this in with the CID. There we go. And we are going to JSON.decode this. So we're going to local char info equals JSON.decode player data dot char info. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we pretty much have here. So we're just going to copy it over. But we don't have to do char info again. We just do char info like that. And that is that. We should do an if check. Yeah, I forgot about that. I said, yeah, like I'm streaming. So above this, we're actually going to do a player check here. If player data and player data dot char info, then just to make sure they're good, else return unknown. There we go. So now that that is set up, so we are going to get the player name now. So I messed something up somewhere because I forgot to put an end. There we go. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our context menu. We're going to get the player name. We're going to put false, and then we're going to pass to Fisher, and we're going to put .c or citizen underscore ID. So that is how that works. So now we have the player's name. So now we need to actually build the table for the options to actually display the top 5 or as many as we can get. So we're going to do table.insert. We're going to insert into top options. And we are going to do brackets, come down. And we're going to do, oh yeah, that's good. We only need one step brackets. So we're going to do title equals, and we're going to do number space, or no, not number space. And we're going to do I. And then we're going to do, again, another space. Then we're going to do player name. So that will be the title. Next thing is the description, which will be description equals their score is, it's going to be Fisher.score. And it's going to be a period. They have caught Fisher.fish underscore caught dot, and it's going to be another space, and it's going to be fish. So that is description done. And the next one is going to be icon. Oh, forgot the comma. Icon equals FA dash solid FA dash star. And we're going to do config, or icon color is going to be equal to config dot color palette dot yellow. So that is the table being created. So the next thing to know, but what if top 5, what if we don't get a number back? Like what if there's nothing in that table? So let's do the same thing almost here, but let's do title. We'll do no leaderboard to display. And description will be there might be a error in my score keeping. And we'll do FA exclamation. I'm just going to copy it over. And red. So the next part is pretty easy. Next thing we just need to do is do context again. But instead of doing options, like actually writing out the options like we normally do, we just do top options. So that's how you do a dynamic context menu, is with for loops and inserting it into tables. So title is going to be fishing leaderboard. ID is going to be fishing. Wait, what did I do here? Let's keep up the same. Fishing master underscore leaderboard. So what we do here is we're going to do lib.showContext. I'm going to put that in there, quote it up, and we should be able to go back, restart, and the leaderboard doesn't load, so that's an error here. So player name, something's wrong with the returning. Here we go. I spelled query wrong. And here, I think. Where did I spell that wrong? 56. 56. Single dot await. I wrote query when it should have been awaits. Oops. Now, here we go. So you can see hanky panky, and you put everyone's is 0, 0. So if I go into here and I actually change score, so we'll do 5. Maybe this dude's score is 83 and my score is 145. So if I actually go in here, close that, and reopen it, you can see it's actually listed by whose score is the highest. So that is how you do that. And you can see fishing shop, it all works. There we go. So next thing let's set up is let's set up the buying the actual rods. So next thing we need to do that is we're going to have to set up a event to actually give the rods. So we're just going to do a simple net event, or we're just going to copy one of these. And because our rods names are consistent, give player rod, we can just pass through this level here. Do local source equals source. All we have to do here is, because all of our item names are the same. I'm not going through the items in this tutorial. You guys can do that because it's super simple, and there's also a lot of fish items. So I'm just assuming you have the items and everything set up. So we're going to do exports. Oh, what the heck? Exports dot ox underscore inventory dot add item. Oh, oops. I already had it like that, so you can just delete that. And we're going to pass source. Item is going to be called fishing underscore rod, and we're going to concatenate level into this, so we don't have to define a level for each one when we give it. So that will give the item. So all we have to do is when that item event gets called in context, so we close this and close that here. So here we're buying, or oops, we'll trigger server event. We will give the rod, but this rod's level 1. We'll copy this. We'll paste this down. We'll paste that to 2. Paste this in here, and we'll paste that to 3. So now the rod will be, you can actually buy a fishing rod. See, I got a fishing rod level 2. So now I have 2. So the next thing we're going to do is actually create the usable item so you can actually use the rods. So in this, we're just going to create this in a thread to make it simple on the server side. So we know we have four rods. So we do for I equals 1. And we have 3 rods. So we're going to loop through this 3 times. Do. And you're going to do exports dot. Wait, hold on. Let's we'll finish this first. QBX underscore core dot create usable item, and the item is going to be the item name, so it's going to be the same thing as here, sort of. So the first argument is the item, so it's going to be we're fishing rod 1, and the next one is going to be the function that happens when you actually use it. So it's going to be source and item, and we're going to trigger client event, and it's going to be along the same lines of one of these names. So it's going to put that. It's going to be client. It's going to be use rod, and we need to tell it who to pass it back to. So source, and we need to know what level it is. So we pass that back. So now let's go onto our client.lua file, and let's actually create this event that happens when you use it. So we're going to net event. It's going to be called this, and it's going to be called, we're going to do level as an argument, and we're going to do debug used a level rod. There we go. So if we refresh this and we use rod 1, then 2, then 3, it doesn't want to work. Rod 1, it doesn't want to work. Make sure we copied over everything correctly here. I spelled source wrong. That's why it didn't work. If I do rod 1, then 2, then 3, you can see I skipped 2, but 2 works. So there you go. So I was just pressing 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, that is how you do that. So that is where we're going to cut it in this video, because this video is already very, very long. So we're going to be doing the fishing and all the other stuff in another tutorial in a part 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Join my Discord. I really appreciate the support. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, night, morning. Peace out.